in honor of Women Month, we're going to do a tier list. And I want people to know this is not like an objectifying thing. We're not taking these women and saying, hey, this is a 1 through 10. This is what we're going to rank them on their body type. Like, no, we're not doing that. What we are simply doing is we are taking these women and we are going to rank them based on the content of their character, what they have done in their life, etc. That is what we're going to be doing. Okay, the lady from Monster, we're going to put her in C tier. And the reason we're going to put her in C tier, I need to stop. I think there's something about what she has done that is understandable in a sense. Like, no, she's not a good person at the end of the day. Like, she's still a serial killer. However, the difference between, like, her and someone, like, it seems like she didn't have a very good childhood. If you guys see the movie Monster, I don't know much about that beyond that. I don't know much beyond that. But the movie Monster, it seemed like she was more someone who got taken advantage of by her clients as a prostitute. Just didn't have good mental health. And so one thing kind of led to another, and like her first victim at the very least was like someone that she just murdered, like just kind of killed out of self-defense and didn't really know what to do. So I think, and that kind of just started a chain of events. Definitely not a good person, but understandable to where she's at. Amy Schumer, we're going to put her in the same category. Now, is she a serial killer? No. But she is kind of a murderer of comedy. In terms of she has stolen jokes, and she's related to Chuck Schumer, who's one of the most evil people in the world, and she's, backed him publicly. And there was this one, we might as well. Let's see if we can find here it is.
With farm in our name.
Don't be mean to my daddy. Don't be mean to my daddy.
Time for ET Social Study. Your quick look at what the stars are posting online. Thick silver chain. Sister-in-law.
Okay, is there a video? No. There was a fucking video. Okay, here we go. Here it is. This has to be it.
For me, the pain I share with so many other Americans on the issue of gun violence, it was made extremely personal to me on Thursday, July 23rd, when I'm not even going to say his name, when he sat down for my movie, Trainwreck, at the Grand Theater in Lafayette, Louisiana. 2 lives were tragically lost and others injured. Oh. And I've thought about these victims each day since the tragedy.
It's kind of her fault. It's kind of her fault. Maybe you shouldn't have made such a shit movie and people wouldn't have been shot.
We'll never know why people choose to do these painful things, but sadly, we always find out how.
We'll never know why people decide to steal jokes.
The shooter got their gun, and it's often something that shouldn't have happened in the first place. And today's push makes so much sense because it seeks to address the how. We need a background check system without holes and fatal flaws. We need one with accurate information that protects us like a firewall. The critics scoff and say, well, there's no way to stop crazy people from doing crazy things. But how the shooter got their gun. And
shit, I fucked that up.
And I've thought about these victims each day since the tragedy. We'll never know why people choose to do these painful things, but sadly, we always find out how. How the shooter got their gun. And it's often something that shouldn't have happened in the first place. And today's push makes so much sense because it seeks to address the how. We need a background check system without holes and fatal flaws. We need one with accurate information that protects us like a firewall. The critics scoff and say, well, there's no way to stop crazy people from doing crazy things, but they're wrong. There is a way to stop them. Preventing dangerous people from getting guns is very possible.
The legislation we are talking about will do 3 things.
Okay, this didn't... maybe it was just a social media post where she was like mad at people for making fun of her. I don't know if it's her dad or her uncle. Maybe dad. But that's a little weird too. It's like, you know, the tie-in between government and these celebrities. Like, what's going on here? But yeah, fuck Amy Schumer. Train wreck was a train wreck. I mean, yeah. Yeah, she's just bad. Death of comedy. All right, AOC, we're going to put her in D tier. I'm not going to look it up again. Has a surprisingly low, like, net worth. Although, it doesn't really make sense. Excuse me. I don't really know the facts on, like, what income ties into net worth. I don't know if those are just, like, things she's investing in or whatever. Excuse me. She has, like, a shit ton of student loans still to pay, which is kind of hilarious. But, you know, I think she is like the pinnacle of wokeism.
Mr. Homan, your name is on this. Is this correct?
Yes, I signed that memo.
So you are the author of the family separation policy.
I am not the author of this memo.
You're not the author, but you signed the memo.
Yes, a zero tolerance memo.
So
God, she's so dumb. Yeah, no, when you sign a memo, that doesn't mean you're the author. You know, when the Declaration of Independence was signed, they didn't all write that. They signed it, they approved it, but they didn't all write that. You know, when bills are passed and people sign the bills, they don't write the bills. No, I should say everybody who signs, they're not all part of the bill, that the writing process of the bill. Even the people who quote unquote wrote the bill, they hired somebody to do it for them.
So you provided the official recommendation to Secretary Nielsen on family for the United States to pursue family separation.
I gave Secretary Nielsen numerous recommendations on how to secure the border and save lives.
But it says here that you gave her numerous options, but the recommendation was option 3, family separation.
What I'm saying, this is not the only paper where we've given the Secretary numerous options to secure the border and save lives.
And so the recommendation, of the many that you recommended family separation.
I recommend a zero tolerance.
Which includes family separation.
The same as is with every U.S. citizen parent gets arrested when they're with a child.
Zero tolerance, Mr. Homan.
She's such a dumb cunt. She's just entertaining. And what was the whole thing where she was like so scared about when the January 6th protest happened? She like fought for her life, even though she was escorted out immediately by Secret Service. She's like, oh, I'm so scared. And like nobody had a weapon. I mean, the only people that died were like the people who came in. Okay, Big Red. Fuck Big Red. We're going to put her in D tier. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. Fuck Big Red. Can't stand her. She had so many let's find a clip of her too. She had so many like horrible things to say about men. And I know you're going to think that is, it's like, oh, well, you're doing the same thing that the women do. Yeah, the difference between me and the women who do these kind of things is like, I am willing to acknowledge that there are really shitty men out there. This woman probably would never acknowledge that. She would look at Casey Anthony and she would find something good to say about her. Yeah, let's just see if we can even. And I had this problem when I was trying to Google her. Maybe it's my content filter, but like I could not find like anything. I couldn't even find an image of her that wasn't like the like what this is with the thumbnail. Like, you know, I couldn't find anything. I feel like the internet's like completely scrubbed her, which is weird. But maybe it's my content filters. But anyways, fuck Big Red. She's said some pretty shitty things about men. So okay, Candace Owens. I've already talked about her at length, so I won't get into it too much. But crazy bitch. Cuckoo, crazy. Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. And yeah, it's weird because we've done both anti-Semitic tier lists, black tier lists, and now we're doing woman tier lists. So, I mean, this should be the last tier list that we do of Candace Owens. Yeah, I mean, you look at any of her clips where it's like she like had, dreams, and that's what informed her opinions, like just dumb shit. Anyways, Charlize Theron, I gotta put her in A tier. One of the things I really respect about Charlize is she's very similar to like, a Christian Bale type, where she is willing to forego all the beauty standards that are a part of, I think just being a woman. I think like, this exists for men too, to some extent, but there is this like culture of femininity that just has this insane beauty standard. Like, dude, like, I went to like college and like I see like younger people and I'm like, dude, when I was in high school and college, like women did not dress like this. Like they were not like showing their bellies. They were not like walking around. Like I saw a lady walking her dog yesterday. It didn't even look like she had pants on because her shorts were so short. Like, and I feel like to an extent, like, you could be the shitty guy and just say, oh, they're all whores. But I don't think that's the case. I think there is like a beauty standard that has been put in place by media and whatever. And it's very hard for women to, live outside of that. I think that is a huge cause of like depression, especially for like teenagers and et cetera. Like, but I think when you're someone like Charlize Theron and you're willing to shave your head for Mad Max, and you're willing to, like the lady we started out with, like willing to portray like a serial killer in the movie Monster, like and have like have those features, and like not look like that type of woman, right? Like I think that takes a lot of courage. And you can say, yeah, she's making a fuck ton of money, whatever, but also she's a pothead. I fuck with that. Chill lady. I have a lot of respect for her acting career. I think the one thing is, didn't she like make her kids trans or something? I don't like that. But so that maybe that is what deterred me from putting her in S tier. But fuck with it. Casey Anthony. We're gonna put her in the D tier. And I know what you're thinking. She's a serial killer just like the monster lady. Why aren't they in the same category? Well, first of all, she killed her own children, which I think is a degree worse than men who, you're a prostitute and men take advantage of you and you kill them, and then that kind of, you have mental health. I guess Casey Anthony probably had mental health issues as well. But there's something like that's really weird about, well, first of all, the fact that she got let off. I mean, that's a big differentiation right there. And there's just like, I think even before she killed her kids, or maybe even like in the days where afterwards, and then like it took them a while to like, catch on to her. Like she was like out partying and just like didn't give a fuck about her kids. Like essentially she was like, I'm a mom. I don't want to be a mom. So I'm just going to kill my fucking kids. That's not good. That's a bad look. And, I think Casey Anthony is like a prime example. We were talking about like the beauty standards. Like there is this like psychological phenomenon where you see women who are, a part of this. They have some advantages based on their beauty, the social norm beauty. There's like psychology stuff. Reporting and like studies and all that, like to really prove this. And like I think it's a fact. Like I think there is such thing as like pretty privilege or beauty privilege or whatever, and it applies to men too. But like it's It seems to put women up in a way that exceeds that. It's like you could like there's so many countless examples of women who have no talent whatsoever, and they are put in these positions of power for like no reason other than their looks. Like some guy really wanted to fuck them and was like, okay, I'm gonna put her in this position because there's might be a small chance I'm gonna fuck her, and then they probably don't. And there's something to me, and Casey Anthony was like very manipulative, right? Like she was one of those examples of like a woman who used her looks to manipulate people. And it wouldn't surprise me if there was something that went into that with her being, her result is like, being acquitted from this. And I don't really know what she's doing this day and age, but like I think she's like somewhat in the spotlight a little bit. And it's fucking crazy. Like her own parents were like, dude, what the fuck is this lady doing out? Like she should be on the electric chair. Like what? Like her own daughter, their own daughter. They're like mad that she got out. Like that speaks to a lot. So really, I probably should put F tier, and she would be in the F- tier. Like she is like the pinnacle of someone who has the looks, did the atrocity, and got away with it, which is like I think the most maddening thing ever. Chappell Roan, we got to put her in S tier. I'm finally caught up. So first of all, she has great music. I really fuck with her music. And I also think she's just a decent person. There was this big interview that happened with her where I don't remember if it was the interview asked her or she brought it up, but there was like this relative of hers that it had come out that he was a big MAGA guy. And she refused to condone him. Like she refused to just even like really talk about it. And she was just like, and she was like very respectful about it. And I think that is something that I really commend because, I think that's the adult thing to do. Right? Like I have relatives who I hugely disagree with politically. But like I would never come in this podcast and call them out and be like, and punch down. Right? Because they don't have an audience. They don't really have a way to defend themselves publicly. And it's just shitty. It's just a shitty thing to do. It's like, it's way better to like, you should care for your relatives even if you really disagree with them. Like, and clearly, unlike, some of these fucking, other women who are in their position today who do the opposite and will like call out every single fucking person that has that view and punches down. Like she's really not doing that. Like she's like staying in her own lane. Like, hey, I don't really give a fuck. Like, yeah, I have an uncle who's MAGA. Like, who cares? That's not me. Like, I'm not MAGA. And like, and there were I think it was the whole thing where like she refused to vote. She was like, I'm not going to vote in this election because both candidates are awful. And a lot of people gave her grief for that. And it's just stupid. Like, those things are just stupid. And I think, like, Chappell, especially compared to, like, other women who are big artists in her sphere, like, she's, like, a very mature person. Also, I think it's very easy for people who are, are a female musician to use, their features, their sexuality, their body, as a promoter versus their music. I like Sabrina Carpenter is a good example of this. I mean, and that's sad because I think we'll get to her, but like that's sad because like she actually has really good music too, but like she just doesn't really need to do that. Like Chappell is a great example of someone who like doesn't really. I mean, from what I've seen, there isn't really a lot of scandalous. Maybe I'm ignorant on that, but like I haven't really seen a lot of like scandalous things when it comes to her music or whatever, or her music videos or how she promotes herself. Like she's just I'm just an artist. I'm just a female artist. I stay in my lane. I mean, even if your music's like sexual, like there's a difference between like having sexual music and then making yourself an object. Like those are two very different things. So even if there are like sexual themes in her music, like so what? Like that's not really like that's not like being like not like that doing that's necessarily bad, but it's just poor taste. It's like 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 if you're already like a famous actor and then you start an OnlyFans, it's like what's the? You didn't need to do that. Like if you were $10 million and you just do it to get another like 5 million, like what's really the point? Like it's just ego at that point. So yeah, I fuck with Chapel. Hillary Clinton, we gotta put her in D tier, right next to the serial killer, because believe it or maybe not serial. Well, is 2 serial at the same time? I don't know, but Hillary Clinton has way more blood in her hands than Casey Anthony and the Monster Lady combined. She is pure fucking evil. It's truly amazing that so many people, so many leftists, like just implicitly backed her, even though she's like the most unlikable person probably ever in politics in recent, like especially as a woman in recent memory, like just so unlikable. And it's amazing how many people just backed her in that time, and like even today we'll still fuck with Hillary Clinton. It's insane. Like the fucking hit list aside and all the really weird deaths surrounding the Clintons, like just not a very good person. I remember there's this one clip where she like, I think talking about Bill maybe, and she just like flipped the fuck out on this lady asking her questions, like just a nasty woman. And it's really possible if they had put up like someone more likable in the 2016 election, that Donald Trump might have lost. But it was just like, this woman is so unlikable. Like, how can anybody fuck? Like, she's just like, she's the essence of evil. I mean, she streamlined all these. She played a big part in all these like overseas conflicts. If I don't think she has any political positions anymore, but if she did, she would 100% be on board with this Iran thing. Just a two-faced, insane, crazy lady with way too much power and influence, and it's just insane how many people still fuck with her. Like, I think Hillary Clinton was really the essence of like when you started to see like, oh, like the left is just pure, like it's what they say, like they'll vote for dead people. Like, say what you want about the Republican Party. I think if this whole thing with Trump was happening on the left, we would see way less pushback. There are a lot of people when Trump started doing this Iran thing on the Republican side, like even in the MAGA sphere, we're like, no, fuck this, I'm out. Like I'm putting my hands clean of this. And then there are plenty that still did, but like I feel like the percentage of people who are willing to do that on the right would not exist on the left. I think a lot of leftists would just go with the flow. Like they will just vote. They will vote blue no matter who. Like I think that phrase is very true. Okay, Iliad Omar, whatever the fuck this lady's name is. We'll put her in C tier. She's not quite as bad as AOC. She did streamline, like, I don't think she's just culpable for things like murder or, things that like malicious things that the government does as much as Clinton and AOC, but she's still pretty fucking bad. I think the most problematic thing with her is the stuff going on in Minnesota with the Somalis. That's not to say that it's because she's Somalian. Maybe it is. But she was a huge part of why that whole scandal happened. Just making Minnesota Somalian refugee place or whatever. Making that whole thing happen, and then on top of that, just making sure there's plenty of money funneled into that. So yeah, fuck her, not a fan. Jordan Jensen, I gotta put her in S tier. Fuck yeah, she's hilarious. She's probably one of the funniest female comedians alive right now. Like she's crass and funny and like, but not like to a stereotypical point. Like I think it's very easy for female comedians to just be like, just play the thing of like, oh, I'm a slut, I'm just gonna talk about getting fucked all the time. And not that that's bad, but like it's kind of a cliche, right? Like I guess it's similar to like, you know, male comedians talk about their dicks all the time. Like fine, like that's just kind of a part of comedy. Like I get that, but like I think she's like a legit fucking person. Like I think she's likable. I think she's funny. Every clip I see of her, I laugh. And for all the unfunny comedians like Amy Schumer, unfunny female comedians, like she fucking ranks 100%. Yeah, fuck with Jordan Jensen. Okay, Kamala Harris, D tier. Yeah, she's awful, man. She was fucking awful. Oh my god. I think the saddest thing about Kamala Harris is she might have been a better president than Trump. No, I don't even think that's true. It's like trying to choose between like a shit sandwich and a vomit sandwich, right? It's like you gotta eat one of these options. It's like they're just both fucking horrendous. I think there's some, I don't know. It's an interesting theory because there's something to the idea of like, fuck, I gotta end this. Shit. My maintenance guy's in the way. I gotta end this shit. So we'll wrap this up real quick. But maybe we'll do a part 2 at some point. Maybe I'll do a part 2 later, and I'll just re-upload the whole thing later. I don't know how I'm gonna do this. This was a train wreck, guys. I apologize. Like, honestly, though, even if I had actually started correctly earlier, I probably still wouldn't have gotten done. But yeah, fuck Kamala Harris. It's really interesting. It's really interesting to think like how that would have played out, right? Like if she had, because I think the difference between her and Trump is Trump like has some kind of, I don't want to say cognition, but he's not, like, at least appears to not be as much of a puppet. Like, I think the big differentiation, I mean, they're both puppets, especially right now. But I think Trump is, like, still driven by his ego, and there's, like, incentive for him to do these things. Whereas Kamala, I think, just doesn't think on that level. I think Kamala is very similar to Biden, where they're just a plant. Like, they don't have any idea what, like, if they had to write an essay about like what maybe Biden would, and maybe younger Biden would have been better at this, but like, you know, if they had to write an essay about the policies they want, the things that they want to do, they wouldn't be able to do it. Trump would do it a little better. I think that's the biggest difference between these two people. Kim Reynolds, we're gonna put her in D tier. We've covered her plenty of times on the podcast and the live stream before, so we won't do too much about it. But I mean, she is like the essence of a cunt. Simply put, she just is. You know, I think being an Iowan, the one thing everybody kind of has in common, I think even a lot of the people who vote for her, is that Kim Reynolds is the absolute worst. She's the only governor in the last poll of governors to not only get last place, but the only one to get negative polling as a tribute, as in terms of what she had the last year, or the last time the survey was done or whatever. And she then declared that she was no longer going to have that bid for the next term, which is good. But I mean, I always said this, like, you know, if she really cared about the people and really cared about Iowans and how they are doing, that she should have stepped down and resigned. But she's not interested in that. She's interested in greed and power. She's done a lot to, she just, she just seems to do things openly, blatantly. The whole thing with the plane was outrageous, using COVID funds to buy a plane for the Iowa State Patrol that she also uses, which is like, if she's able to use that plane, it can't be that important that they have it, right? It's not something that they're like all the time, like, hey, sorry, Kim, like, you're gonna have to make your own travel arrangements because we're using this plane. Like, no, it's clearly just it was a fun purchase. It was a fun purchase from funds that were supposed to be directed towards healthcare or people who with COVID stuff or whatever. Which is bullshit in itself, but like at least you're using it for the purpose that's supposed to have, right? Not like not what she's doing. So I'm trying it's hard to even think about, because you cover this woman so much. The whole thing on cannabis is just awful. The fact that she's just not only refused to budge on it, but actually rolled back. Like, she made, I think, Delta 8 illegal, and she like decreased the THC content because she was like, it's like it has all these it's all addictive and all this stuff, which is just kind of ridiculous for cannabis in general. But like, the fact that she's like an alcoholic, her driving record getting expunged, and like the judge like ruling in favor of her not to have those record, like not to have the opposing people who are suing her to have that thing be released to them. So many things. This woman is so corrupt. I mean, really, the state's corrupt, but she's the top dog. So yeah, fuck Kim Rhodes. Madonna, I gotta put her in A tier. She was on some woke shit, I know, later in her life. But whatever. She's a G. She made some great music. Yeah, I fuck with Madonna. Marilyn Monroe, let's put her in B tier. I think she's a hair overrated. I did like her, there was the one movie that was she in the 7 Year Itch? I think that might have been her. But I mean, like, she was a fine actress. I think it's she was a homebreaker or a homewrecker, which is, not the best thing to be. And she wasn't like an amazing actress by any means, but she was she was an icon. Like, you can't deny that. Like, she definitely had a lot of impact there. So so be it. Okay, Melania Trump. We're gonna put her in C tier. Not like the worst person, as she is, not like a government wasn't or hasn't been like a government official by any means, but I think there's something to her where it's like, okay, your husband is like one of the doing some of the most like horrendous things, especially in this term, and she just kind of seems to go along with it, won't really take a stand. Like, I don't know, like, I feel like if there's so many things like the Epstein files or whatever. What was the thing recently? Like, she said that like she like made a public statement that she was like, I'm not affiliated with the Epstein or whatever, which I don't even think was true, but like it was just kind of out of the blue, random. And I don't know, it's weird how the connections work, but she's definitely like using that same system that all these elites use, and just doesn't seem like the best person in general. At best, probably kind of a gold-digging whore. At worst, I don't know, maybe complacent, at the very least, in some of the things that have been going on with her husband or other, elite figures. Like, who fucking knows what happens in those circles? Okay, Michelle Obama, good old Michelle. We will put her in C tier. One of the things that I remember very vividly growing up that I really didn't like about Michelle Obama was her proposal for like the school food stuff. There was like a limitation on how much food you could eat, and it was in order to like have like it be healthier or whatever, right? And like the whole idea of like doing this with school lunches is kind of ridiculous because it's like, I don't know, like I really don't believe that a majority of kids who like are in need, quote unquote, like are just not eating at all. Like I have a really hard time in this believing in this day and age that kids go home and there isn't a single thing to eat at their house. Like I'm sure that's the case for some, is not a case for the majority of the people. And you know, maybe because they're low income, they're eating shittier food, fine. But it's not like the food that the school provided was really that great, at least where I grew up in. I don't know. Maybe in other places it was different, but you know, so she just, I don't know, and she just kind of went along with although, you know, she was a big part of what bolstered that like whole Obama Medicare thing. Now I know she was the first lady, but like, you know, she did like put initiatives forth. Like that was like her thing. And I think it had a direct impact on, you know, the world and like, or, you know, America at the very least. And, you know, I don't think it was very good. So, yeah. Okay. Natalie Portman, we're going to put her in S tier for sure. Have nothing negative to say about Natalie Portman. I think, you know, I think similar to Charlize Theron, she is one of those actresses who is like willing to, you know, dedicate herself to the role, and not really care about what people think about it or whatever. Like, I think she was great. She was fantastic in V for Vendetta. That actually might be my favorite role of hers. And yeah, she's just like, oh, you know what? Black Swan was great too, though. Black Swan was really good. I think Black Swan and V for Vendetta are really two key pieces of material that just show how fantastic of an actress she really is and was. So, yeah, give up to Natalie Portman. I fuck with her. What is this one? Nicole Kidman. Nicole Kidman. We will put her, you know, I'll put her up in S tier as well. The peeing thing with Zac Efron was a little weird, but, you know, like the movie The Shots from Eyes Wide Shut, I thought she was great in that movie. She's also has she's just like, you know, she's a solid actress. I can't really think of like any, I'm sure they're there, but I can't off the top of my head, maybe besides Zac Efron, the movie where she pees on Zac Efron. I can't really think of that many bad movies she was in. I heard that one that she did recently was not that great. And she did get a divorce recently, but you know, that's not her. That could very well not be her fault. Sometimes it's amicable, you know. Pam Bondi, we're gonna put her in D tier. Is she a murderer? No. Is she like incredibly disingenuous and dishonest and you know, was a complete shill for the Trump administration? 100%. I think the whole thing with the Epstein files is just terrible and awful. I think like the next worst thing from actually committing those atrocities that you know, Epstein and his associates probably, you know, more than likely did, was, you know, this, like, you know, doing the not doing the right thing when it came to this stuff, not releasing the files properly like she should have. And you know, I think the last time I heard there were still like 3 million files that they just said they're just not going to release. And, you know, and she just couldn't keep the story straight. You know, I have the files, they're on my desk, the files don't exist. Oh, the files do exist. Oh, and then, I mean, there were files where, I mean, because like the one job of blocking out the information was like their justification was like, we don't want the victims' names to be out in public, which is fair. Like, I think that's a fair argument. Now, I mean, that definitely leaves room for, you know, the people who committed the atrocities, like for them to get get covered up, and that's problematic. But there were instances where like she actually like they didn't cover up the names of the victims, and they instead just blocked the senders or the people who like were like implicated in these activities, right? So like I honestly kind of similarly to Kim Reynolds, like just so blatant in her just disgusting tactics, or you watch that the Supreme Court, it's like the congressional thing, where they're grilling her about this, and she wouldn't even answer the question. She would just talk about the Dow. It was like almost comical, but it's like it was just a clear show of like, yeah, I'm the boss, I have the power, I don't have to answer your questions, and nothing's going to happen to me. And I do believe that she got fired, but I mean, she's never going to see jail time or like have any kind of accountability for like, protecting these people. And that's really sad. So, all right, Rosa Parks, we're going to put her in B tier. She's fine. Nothing's wrong with Rosa Parks. I think she is, she was more of a psyop than an actual, like in school, they always try to paint it like, oh, Rosa Parks was like this, really brave person who, I think we might have talked about this in the last, tier list, but like this really brave person who like put forth, was really had a lot of courage and decided like, I'm gonna sit in the front of the bus and nobody's gonna tell me. But that's not really what happened. What happened is her and Martin Luther King knew each other before this event, and they were like, okay, we're gonna stage this thing where you stand in the back, or sit in the front of the bus, they arrest you, it's this whole thing, and then it's really gonna give our case light. Which, is that like necessarily an awful thing? No, but it's definitely not like this genuine like, oh, this woman was just so brave. It's like, she kind of had, there's probably some backing to her before this even happened, right? So it's like, okay, is it real courage, real bravery? I don't know. Like I said, she's not a bad person, she's fine. There's probably some YouTuber who has some dirt in her, but I haven't seen it. So Sarah Silverman, we're gonna put her in C tier. Kind of a woke cunt, I won't lie. And really like, really kind of in that like group of people like Seth Rogen and all them, who just really kind of, especially with like the COVID stuff and like the death of LA and California, like has just really just, trod along the lines of like the establishment and the corporate press and all that. And, like, not that funny. Like she's had some roles and like some moments, and like she's kind of funny in some ways, but like, yeah, man, like I don't really care. Selena Gomez, we'll put her in B tier. She's fine again. I know she cheated, and that's not good. So that's probably what puts her in B tier for me. But she's a fine actress. She did some stuff with the Disney, and yeah, and she's like always she's always looked good, like she, I feel like some of those people just kind of who are like in that like Disney, whole Disney thing, were in that era, like really kind of went downward, but like she seemed to keep it together. So Sydney Sweeney, we're gonna put her in, let's do the A tier, fuck it. Yeah, she's, I don't know. I really liked her, that one interview that she did where they tried to get her like on some woke shit, and she was just like, fuck you, I don't care. Or no, it was the jeans ad. Yeah, because everybody's pissed about the jeans ad, and they tried to corner her on it, and she was just like, I don't give a fuck. Like, it was a really stupid thing to get upset about, and it's like, like some people do just have like good genetics. That's not to say that like you're gonna disparage people who don't have good genetics. It might not even be that they don't have good genetics. They may just have genetics that they have skills in other ways, right? I don't think Sydney Sweeney would do well on the, the SAT. She probably wouldn't have done that great in the SAT, right? But like someone who maybe doesn't have, her tits, might have done really, really good job on the SAT. So like, fine, whatever. I haven't really seen many, I don't know if I've seen any of her stuff. Now that I mention it. I never saw Euphoria. I don't think I ever saw it. She was even in like that Housemaid movie. Didn't see that. I'm sure she's fine in those. I don't know. I don't think I've seen a single thing that she's in, besides like the jeans ads, obviously. Okay, this comedian whose name I don't know but should know, Esther. She's funny. Okay, moving on. Tommy Loren, we're gonna put her in C tier. I have a funny story about Tommy Loren. So my ex-wife went to high school with her, and Tommy Loren apparently, I think it's her name, apparently had a parking space like at the school. I don't even know if it officially was her parking space, but apparently she was just a cunt about her parking space and just a cunt in general. And you can kind of tell when you watch her, she's kind of like on this like whole, I don't know. She's like the Fox News bimbo, and that's fine. But like, I don't know. I just feel like there's not a lot there. She probably isn't very intelligent and doesn't really seem to have any like strong. I mean, I shouldn't say that I don't even know if she does have strong morals, though. I don't know if it's like anything I've seen with her. I don't know if it's like genuine or if it's just her being, facetious or just dramatic or whatever for ratings. I don't really know how I feel about her. I mean, she's been out of the public light for a while, but I know she's really big on the Trump train and stuff. So. And kind of just, just talked a lot about. I feel like she is really like one of the people who really puts like a bad, like these are just like bad Republican women, right? Like I always say that like liberal women are insufferable, but the problem is that like conservative women are even worse. And I think Tommy Loren is like the the perfect equation of that. Okay, Whitney Cummings. I'm also going to put her in C tier. Not that funny. Actually, she was on that one Legion of Skanks episode. She was kind of funny on that. But, like, not really that funny. And also, apparently there's this big thing where she's, like, covering up for some guy who was doing all these sexual assault or had all these sexual assault allegation type of things. And, like, finding people for him to represent him in court and, like, doing a bunch of, like, damage control for him online, and that's kind of shitty. So, I don't know. She just doesn't really seem like she just kind of seems like you just throw a pile of cash her way and she'll say whatever. There was that one thing that she did in CNN I thought was kind of cool, where she just like kind of was going off and was saying stuff and CNN wasn't stopping her. But then she was like, I love CNN, and like, okay. If you hadn't said that at the end, you might stay a B tier, but putting the C in C tier and the C in CNN. Ghislaine Maxwell, S. No. We're going to put her in D tier. Look, obviously not a good person. Was the bottom bitch of the whole Epstein operation. Her father was a big part of the Israeli intelligence, and there's some really shady things, with that. I do think it's kind of great, like the whole thing with her getting arrested and, the trial not being taped at all, like no press allowed in that trial, her taking all that time, and like just it, it really being on the hush hush, like how they handled that whole thing was just really bizarre. And just really showed that, like, she probably had a lot of information that, they were not willing to give up. And honestly, it's kind of interesting that she hasn't been Epsteined as well. But it's you know, there's probably a point where it's like, okay, does it really make sense for us to do the same thing to the woman that you know, we did to her husband? Like, is that just going to be too obvious? But at the same time, they're very powerful, so it's kind of like, why wouldn't they, right? Like, it's you know, talking about Hillary Clinton, it's like the reason why like the Clintons fucking did everything they did. It's like you know, they had so much power that it didn't really matter. Like, you know, how many of those people that have died mysteriously around the Clintons, like how many of them have, like, you know, really had any successful legal groundings with the Clintons? Like zero, none. And they probably will die having never had any consequence of that.